If you didn't want to help, you should have said no. Or any variation of this phrase. Well, I partially agree. If you don't want to do something for someone, you should say no. And you should have reasonable boundaries. With that said, though, I see a lot of men struggle and end up in this situation where they give a lot and they get screwed over. And that's not okay. I feel like this mindset is basically, I benefited from you, but I don't want to owe you any gratitude or accountability or reciprocate. So I'm going to make sure that this is your fault. And what's horrible about this is it completely invalidates your efforts and sacrifices based on what you gave the other person. And in a way, they're saying, I am not responsible for how much I accepted, how much I asked for, and how little I appreciated it. You should have stopped me. But at what point does their conscience kick in? I feel like we all know that person that they don't say no very often. They don't set boundaries. And those people get screwed over a lot. And a lot of us know plainly if we're at like a wedding or a party and they're serving us food. You dish up a plate and you eat. But most of us know better than to go and grab that whole metal tray and take it to our table and just start, eating out of it. Why? Because the other people need to eat. Because that would be rude. Because, even though no one specifically said, make sure you grab a plate and you only can have 2 cups of food, most of us instinctively know it's okay. Like, okay, I dish myself up a reasonable amount of food. They don't have to specifically say, don't take the whole tray to your table. I mean, do they need to have a huge list of terms and conditions when you go to a wedding to ensure you follow proper etiquette? And yes, I know sometimes people break it. Sometimes people don't have bad intentions and they make mistakes. That's fair. There's a lot of little rules to being well-mannered. Also, most of us instinctively know to have empathy for other people and not take way more than our own share should have been. And healthy people know just because someone offered to help does not mean you should purposely drain them dry. A decent person thinks, wow, that was so nice of them to help me. I should be careful to not take advantage of them. An entitled person looks at that and is like, great, I get to keep taking. And I've noticed a lot of men are on the receiving end of this, where they're trying to be good men, they're helping, they're being kind, and then they get exploited. You should have said no can partially be true, but it also can be manipulative. Yes, overgiving can be unhealthy. Yes, you should have said no. Yes, you should have set boundaries, but that does not erase the taker's responsibility. And 2 things can be true at once. Yes, you might be a little bit too relaxed on your boundaries and you might need to work on that, okay? 2, the receiver still might have been selfish and manipulative and overall ungrateful. Both of those things can be true at the same time. If someone leaves their door unlocked at night and someone breaks in and steals their stuff, is that person still a thief? Yeah. It's still illegal to walk into somebody's house and steal their stuff, even if they made the mistake of leaving the door unlocked. Like, yeah, that person should never leave their door unlocked ever again, obviously, but again, doesn't give you a free pass to steal all their stuff. This mindset also avoids gratitude, which, if you're subscribed to my channel, which you should be, I heavily emphasize that. And when you have gratitude, you have to acknowledge someone sacrificed for me. They might have put themselves out there. They might have done physical labor. Maybe they paid for something. And some people, they hate that feeling because it requires humility. It reminds them that they were helped, that they were carried, that they were given something that they may have not earned. Otherwise, that's a business transaction. You go to work, you do the work, they pay you. I think you should be grateful to have a job, but to be fair, you don't necessarily need to be grateful for your paycheck. You did earn that. If you want to be a super positive person, then yes, you can be grateful for your paycheck too. I recommend that mindset in general. I think it helps you be a happy person. Again, you're not obligated to be grateful in that situation. And instead of that taker saying, thank you, I know you did a lot, they can twist it into, well, you chose to do it. Yeah, that sure makes someone want to do more for you. And sometimes this stuff isn't said, it's sort of implied in their actions. So keep this in mind if you never had people say this stuff to you. Sometimes people aren't that direct. In fact, most people aren't that direct. This world would be a better place if people were a little bit more direct. But sentences like that, or even thought processes like that, it's very convenient for that person because it strips their requirement to care and it turns your generosity into a personal problem. That's why you see some sick people out there who genuinely believe that people who give a lot or sacrifice a lot are suckers and they exploit that and take full advantage of it. It's horrible, but some people do actually have that mindset, and it's really scary. Also, it protects their self-image. They don't want to see themselves as users, potentially. If they frame the situation as you volunteered, they don't have to think about how much they took. Well, it doesn't matter how much I took their car, whatever, wrecked it, whatever. They volunteered. That's really childish logic when you think about it. You can volunteer help and still be used. Being willing doesn't necessarily mean you were respected in the process. Doesn't mean you were appreciated either. Doesn't mean you were treated fairly. While I do think you should communicate any expectations you have out of helping somebody, I think we can reasonably expect when we help someone that they're at least going to be grateful for it, that they're going to probably throw us a thank you. And to be fair, some of my videos might contradict me right now, and my mind has kind of changed slightly over the years through this as I've heard more stories from men, as I've dealt with my own personal life and experiences. So my mind has changed a little bit on this issue. Another one I often hear is, well, nobody forced you. Yeah, and a healthy relationship is not supposed to operate on technically I didn't force you. You're supposed to care about burdening somebody regardless of whether they forced you to help them. And also, when you say something like that, your defense is basically, well, you let me take advantage of you. So you're admitting that you knew there was something to take advantage of? And what I hate about all of this is it punishes kindness. And it makes people get colder. I know of so many people, kind, loving people that give so much. And you see, like, throughout time, they slowly, it's not that they become less nice, but they're a lot more guarded. They're less giving because they've been used and taken advantage of. You see these same wonderful people they go through it. And after a while, of being used and taken advantage of so many times, they start to internalize, never help people too much because they'll just keep taking and never reciprocate. And what's sad is a lot of people that give a lot, they end up attracting the type of people that just use them. And so when they finally meet that person that's also a giver like they are, where they could have a really beautiful relationship where they're constantly, giving back and forth and helping each other, what ends up happening is they've become slightly bitter because they've been used so many times. They have to be guarded. And then it just ruins it for everybody.